Hello dear friends, I've made a couple of hundred videos by now, but this one is gonna be the most important till date, because I'm gonna tell you about the visions that I've been having about the future, and also what has been communicated to me by my guardians, which will not be much compared to other prophecies or channeled information by people, for example, who claim that they can talk freely anytime with higher beings who will answer each and every question. I'm definitely not one of these channels. If I ask questions, it's not like telephone that immediately I will hear answers. And actually, all of the visions which I'm gonna tell you about came to me at times when I was not asking such questions at all. Also, they did not come during meditation sessions, at least most of them, or they were not on request. And over time, I found out that these are the true messages. Because when I ask questions already with my intention and mindset and desires, they already kind of maybe distort the answer. I cannot hear it properly even if it is there. That's why I'm not a reliable channel. But when something has been like clearly communicated to me without me expecting it, and it was always at times when such things were far away from my mind, that I have confirmed over the years is a genuine message from the guardians. So the way I, so to say, smell in the air the near future, within the next few years, let's say 5 or 10 to be on the safe side, probably Armageddon type events will be unfolding already with full force. From what I see at this stage, this is already unavoidable. Maybe decades ago there were other possibilities, but now the only two timelines I'm kind of aware of are, first of all, the biblical, which is quite dreadful, and the other one, which is similar but kind of a milder version. The bad news is that many people, most likely the vast majority, will be devoured by the black magic project of the parasites, and they will actually embrace their ideology, voluntarily and eagerly join them as members. And the good news is that even if extremely difficult times come, it will not be compulsory to join their most disgusting gang, and it will remain a matter of personal choice. So next I'm gonna tell you about all my visions one by one and illustrate what exactly events would be expected about each and every point I mentioned. This video is not meant to spread fear, just on the opposite. I want to assure all the noble souls that they will not be in danger. Joining the camp of the parasites will be absolutely a matter of choice, even if the dreadful timeline develops. I really do not believe that people will be dragged out of their homes and marked by force. And most definitely people will be allowed to hide in mountains and forests. Since the parasites will win the adoration of the masses, of the millions, It will make no major difference for them that some exceptions will be hiding in caves. The parasites are experienced black magicians, and they will not run the risk to wake up protector deities like Chinnamasta, for example, which you see right now, by hunting down the noble souls. Now the world rulers, the fat parasites, have openly told us that we are getting ready for the next viruses. Bill Gates has proposed that we make this decade the decade of the vaccines. We will not have to wait long for the new viruses, and I think those will be nasty, not like the coronavirus, which is basically like a moderate flu. From the new ones, it will be absolutely possible that indeed much more people will start dying. However, getting vaccinated with the Gates vaccine, which he is already talking about and promising us, will be far worse than dying. Trading your divine code of the benevolent creator for promises given by liar politicians about a possible immunity to a certain sickness will be like trading baskets of diamonds and truckloads of gold for a couple of glass beads. So the first message that I had from the Guardians about this full situation was some 20 years ago, and it was short but very clear and kind of urgent even at that time. They told me, be careful, the devil is taking over the world very fast. At that point in life, my mind was busy with completely different things, so I didn't make anything much special of this message except remembering it very carefully. And also I was impressed because, as you know, my heart is connected to the Vedic gods. I myself have never been Christian, even my family are not really Christians. But still my guardians, whom I perceive really as Vedic deities, even they used the biblical terminology of the devil. So since they warned me with urgency 20 years ago, all I knew was that this event will be relevant to my lifetime now. But I mean, at the moment, we don't even need predictions to figure out that most likely it's gonna come within the next few years, because they are setting up already. This was a rehearsal with the corona nonsense. Everything worked out perfectly in their favor. They managed to bring the entire world on its knees with such shallow and childish lies. So in this situation, do you think they will wait like 20 years more? No, they are already in a hurry, because if they wait too many years, the situation may change. They may lose the chance. Actually, even if you assume that they never had some sort of biblical scenario plans, now that they saw practically that they can have the world conquered and obeying without any resistance, basically, just with a couple of childish lies. Do you think, based on everything you have seen from their side, do you think that there is any chance that they will not act in this situation and put almost all people on a leash? No, there is no chance that they will not try. This is a major for them as well, and they are not gonna back up at the last moment. They will not decide, oh, let's better go on holiday or something. No, for minor things, changes are possible, anything can happen, but for the main thing for them, there will be no cancellation and there will be no waiting. The reason for which people are and will be unable to, at least initially, put up any meaningful resistance is that they don't understand the main motive and goal of the parasites. That is the biggest problem. Many people have heard like details from some sort of alternative sources and imagine that they are some sort of resistance just because they know 2% more than the average. And the average, I believe, is something like the idea that the evil banksters out of greed are raping the world up and down, which is true on a very limited and low level, and with such low understanding, one will be perpetually confused and eventually marked. The principal conductors of the orchestra of the disgusting parasitic forces, they own the Federal Reserve and the central banks of all countries since long time. It is ridiculous to think that they will do things for money because they are the manufacturers, the creators of the money. They own unlimited money. They can buy anything money can buy, and that is completely legal and open and officially acknowledged. Another thing which is well known, well proved and documented is that the high ranks of this parasitic gang, they are all members of occult, devilish societies, and they do these disgusting rituals, all these thousands of children being kidnapped, and the things done to them are beyond vomit abominable. This is part of their cult, and that's where their heart lies. So, exactly as the advanced yogis who have taken the path of light and goodness and not the demonic worship, exactly as when they reach samadhi, this is not some imaginary state or just mental state, but it also involves, and I would say mainly involves, completely physical changes in their body, because the physical body we have is a vessel for Kundalini, and as the vessel in which you put like liquid or energy, this is like allegorical. If you change the shape and the material of the vessel, the energy, the liquid inside also changes its form accordingly. And thus, by manipulating their body, the yogis make changes the way it conducts Kundalini, and eventually they reach samadhi, moksha, nirvana, salvation. So what escapes the radar even of the most inquisitive people who watch alternative media all day is that exactly as the path of light uses this technique, so does the dark side of the parasites. And that is why now that they have green light, they have a tool how to control the whole world and make the people obey without any questions. They're gonna go for that. And they're gonna have the biggest treat that they can imagine in their lives. And under some sort of excuse, maybe vaccination, maybe some sort of implant for cashless transactions, or any other nonsense, it doesn't matter. They are gonna modify the bodies of those who accept the mark and turn them into demonic vessels and make them full members of their satanic gang to suck their kundalini, their blood, and their entire life force. And since most people are not concerned, not interested at all in magic, even if somebody explains and shows proof for what I just said to them, they will ignore it. Just came out of the other ear. They will say this is abstract. I need tangible things like how will my life be arranged, my business, my travel. That is what I'm concerned with. Everything else does not interest me. And they will be voluntarily devoured, marked. And when after a few months or a few weeks they find out that even their daily life turns into real hell, it will be just too late, because the mark will not be removable. Even if it is some sort of implant, after it is inserted in the body, it will infect the blood and the entire DNA. And even if the initial implant is removed, The changes will be permanent, and not only in this life, this person will face, I don't know what kind of hell and what kind of suffering the devil will demand in exchange for his kind promises of vaccination or prosperous, safe world. But we have hints what this type of souls can expect. I think it will start first with music, chants, which will be, of course, part of those nasty, disgusting torture rituals of sacrifice, or torture just for fun. This type of stuff the marked souls will get involved in, and to the extent of their involvement will be most likely at least a number of future lifetimes in extreme suffering, because everything has to be paid. And all these modern philosophies that you see, hell doesn't really exist, it's a state of mind, and when you're just start thinking positively, everything disappears and all your sins are vanished. This is really wonderful. The only problem is that it is not true. But when people realize it, it will be too late. And this thing about the hell, I'm really promising you and swear that these are things I have seen, and this is not just something I believe based on some sort of religious fanatism. But beware, there can be a delay from the time when the first people will get marked. It may take weeks or even months before they turn into real monsters, because the plot is like this: if they show the real colors of the thing straight from the beginning, they will scare the big herd. So the first people who will be marked, they will be shown on TV, they will be smiling, they will be fine, their homes will be prosperous, and this will continue for a very short while. Another extremely important part of this marking will be the contract with the devil. Many people will not even pay attention when they sign it, because this special training that we have been exposed to all the time, to say yes to small print things without being able to read them because it's too much text and it's too small letters. The contract will come in such a form, and people will not understand what they are actually committing to. They will be joining the gang of the devil without even knowing it. And other people will even figure out that all this is somehow related with spirituality and stuff. But since spirituality and stuff is a pretty cloudy area for most people, they will still sign while having some sort of excuses in their mind, like, oh, some powerful shaman will pray for us and he will save the world, and let's take the mark, but we'll be positive, and like this all sins will be eradicated, and when one has good intentions, everything will be fine. Yet many others will sign it, although they internally do not want to, just because they will not know how to reach their relatives. They will be checkpoints on the roads. Even now in many countries there are such restrictions. It is real. So life will be so restricted that people will think of something important, and they won't be able to pass the checkpoint and will get marked there right at the checkpoint, just because they will be in this illusion that there is no other way, while there will be always other way. Even if the worst happens, there is always a forest, and dandelions grow in most places all around the year. So those who really understand the seriousness of the situation, they will survive on dandelions.
Floresta, calma o meu pensamento, a sua paz é a minha ajuda, a sua paz é a minha ajuda. Floresta, toque o meu coração. Floresta, toque o meu coração. Com manto verde, lindo e tanta proteção. Com
Around the time of the Turkey expedition, so a couple of years ago, my guardians got in touch with me 2 times, and it was like 2 very long communications, and it was very important, and the second time even urgent. They told me frankly to break with the boyfriend I had at that time, the blonde man you can see, for example, on the videos from the Malta expedition. And they just told me that at this point is clear he's gonna join the dark side. And they told me don't let him drag you in that direction. Split with him so that you can go to the better timeline. They specifically said that. And I started doing that. I decided that I was doing it gradually. And then the second, it was like a very clear vision during the Turkey expedition itself. It was like urgent. They said you have to do it now, and then I did it on that very day by email. I told him that our paths are splitting as of today. And I'm absolutely sure that these 2 incidents were communications from the guardians, because they were quite long and there was a lot of personal stories involved, which they told me beforehand, with other also related to other people, which I had no connection at that time with. I didn't know even they will come and how they will be, and the entire story was matching exactly as I was told. So that is an absolutely confirmed communication. And there was no mention in this entire exchange about the marking and so on, but I see that most probably there could be a relation, there could be like couple of timelines possible. I don't know if still one can shift between them, but a couple of years ago one still could. And the worse timeline, I understand it to be like the biblical scenario. You can see more details in this video. And the better timeline, I really have no reliable information on details about that one, but maybe even not all countries will be as severely affected. Maybe there won't be checkpoints in some countries. I really don't know. If I have any verified information and I'm still able to share in the future, I will most definitely let you know. In this video I'm including details about which I'm absolutely sure. In some countries it is already illegal and punishable to talk against vaccinations and all kinds of measures. So obviously people who are spreading the truth like me could be banned very, very soon. That's why please save this video on your computer. And after this incident with this advice to break up with Mario, I actually got very curious about how this full thing with the different timelines functions, because he's still alive, even in the timeline in which I live. So how is it possible that different events will happen to me and him? He just lives some 200 kilometers away from me. Well, I am still definitely unable to like really fly and see all the different timelines. My investigation in this area have been minimal. That's extremely difficult for people like myself who do not have special psychic abilities by birth, but try to develop them. But still, the most accurate description corresponding to my findings so far is again in the set channeled books of Jane Roberts. And over there he actually explains that people can seemingly live like close physically, but the events which happen to them could be slightly different. And that is why he says sometimes people will have memories of the same event and they will be sure that this and that happened, but it will be different from what the other participants in the event also clearly remember. So as the events get closer and closer, the less choices people have about the different timelines. For example, decades ago, when the set books were printed, At that time, he said that we have several choices, but I think that at this point it is decided for most people, if not all, in which timeline they will be. And all this Corona fiasco, unbelievable fiasco, one thing made me wonder, and that were some statements of Trump. I would have expected him to be the leader of, the dark side, being a president of America. But he was saying things like the lockdown measures are worse than disease, which is the truth. He was kind of showing signs that he's not completely on the dark side. So one never knows. There could be good surprises coming up from that suspicious behavior. Suspicious in good sense, at least this time. Usually, when things are suspicious in the modern world, they don't turn good. But this time we're suspecting some goodness in somebody, in a politician. So that's really rare and unique. And let's see. But even if he manages to somehow put some sort of obstacle or minimize the effect of the evil plot in America, in Europe Europe is in tight grip. The corona measures are just a rehearsal. When the real thing starts, if America doesn't lead the nonsense party as usual, a prostitute from Germany will carry the flag, but they will not stop the operation. There will be chaos, there will be insanity, and the gullible people will buy the fraud, the plot of those who created all this on purpose. And not just economic and psychic panic. I don't doubt that they will release from their laboratories viruses much nastier than the coronavirus. I don't know how much they will be successful because the human body is made in such a way that it is able to fight anything. But it is possible that the next time for real many people may start really dying from dangerous diseases, and we will not even know if they lied this time or not, because they lied for the coronavirus and a few times before that, because all the information that we'll be getting at that time will be just part of the plot. But no matter if the upcoming viruses will be really killing or not, and if the so-called vaccines will be helping or not, still, people will be lining up for the mark, and very, very few will see through this illusion. Those who understand that everything that happens, including the diseases and the miraculous cures from them, is done by the power of the spirit of the given person. And now I'm gonna tell you about the third vision, and that was about the end of the end times, how this entire fiasco finishes. Unlike all the others I mentioned, this vision came during ceremony. It was quite long and detailed. It was amazingly beautiful. The art, the city. I cannot paint in my paintings. They're very pale. Attempt to recreate that type of beauty. And initially, especially, and during the vision, before its very end, I was convinced that this is some sort of artistic reward for me, because at that time I was making this Survivor series, and I was thinking that this vision came to me just as a treat to see in what kind of beauty the noble souls can live. And only at the very end of the vision, there were some details which made me wonder, was this really like an artistic abstract, fantasy? or is it real? So all these years I was like, okay, let's say maybe it was 90% just artistic fantasy, and who knows, maybe 10% there is a chance that this will come true. But at this point, as of today, when the checkpoints are a reality in a number of countries around the world, I'm telling you frankly, no matter how far-fetched this vision may seem to most people, in my heart at this point I think that there is 50% that the chance 50% chance that the things will be as I'm gonna tell you. So the vision went like this. Over time, with all this nonsense, the marking and the government oppression, the things became so bad that at the moment when I saw the people, some of them were in a position that police was coming tomorrow to their home and they had no clue where to escape. Yet others were already physically running and they did not know which direction to take and where to go and what to do. It was that desperate. And at that moment, when the noble souls were literally chased by the monsters, by that time the other people turned into monsters. At that time, there was like some force, like a vacuum which sucked them like few meters above the ground, and after that they transited to the other dimension. And there was this empty city of unbelievable beauty which was already waiting for them. Everything was ready. The streets were in very interesting, maybe the closest would be medieval royal style, with precious jewels and art everywhere. Maybe the opulence of the six-star hotels, maybe that would be like something to compare with. And the people, they gathered at the entry, and they were only allowed to enter and live inside after they take vows. And the gatekeepers were sure that they understand that even if they have some memories of the demonic ways of living from the earth, that is not allowed in this city, and in the moment any of them goes to some sort of habits that they may remember from the previous life, they will fall back to the hell of earth. So I'm skipping some personal scenes here, because in these times one should keep all things private. But the end of the vision was the most mysterious of all, because I was shown the boundaries of this kingdom on the modern map, which was quite puzzling to me. I didn't know how to respond to that, because when I was looking at the scenes, my understanding is this is a treat, a reward for me, like, or showing me how the cities of the survivors looked at, the beauty of those cities. That was my understanding. But when I was shown the map, which included the region in which I currently live and parts of few other neighboring countries, I was like, I did not know what to say. And because of not knowing what to say, I said, okay, this is wonderful. Let these boundaries expand. Since you're showing me boundaries, let the full world be like this. But they told me, no, this is set. This cannot be changed. These are the boundaries of this kingdom. Probably there would be other kingdoms as well. So it was this last part that really like confused me. So maybe this was not just an artistic treat for me. And also it has been a couple of years since that vision. A lot has happened to me during these years. And now I would like to tell you why I think that no matter how bad it gets, they will never drag all people from their houses and chip them or vaccinate them by force. Although in some predictions they say that they will be catching people on the checkpoints on the roads and marking them by force. The first reason for which I think they will not force it on all people is that the universal law is that all contracts with the devil or anybody, they have to be voluntarily signed. Otherwise they would be invalid, like they won't be able to really zombify you completely. They will try, but you will just say no and it will not work. And there is a second reason. There are four types of people on earth now. First, they are devils incarnated in human forms. Some call them aliens. It's the same thing. Some of them are also, I believe, direct expansions of the devil, incarnations. Many of them have high-level political or banking jobs. Then the second group are ordinary people, but they are rude, senseless, cruel, inconsiderate. These people will be actually happy when the marking starts. The benefits they get will be just a pure ecstasy for them. It will be like returning home for them. Third group, that is the biggest out of all, these are all the normal people, and most of them do have some sense in their heart about this universal principle of love and goodness. Sadly, I think most of them will accept the mark, not very enthusiastically, but they will. Some will refuse. I think there will be also even atheists amongst them. They will refuse to accept it due to simple logic that they will know never join a gang of criminals. They will understand that it is all plot, even if they do not believe in the religious prophecies. But still, their strong feeling of self-respect from inside, this refusal to join a criminal gang under any circumstances, that will save them. And the fourth category are wise souls who will be looking at all that sad and cruel theater, and it will be fully aware that it is a theater, it is a dream only. Most of them will be people who have advanced in their spiritual practices, or even religious people, mostly belonging to some minor sects. Mainstream, very popular religions are mostly very, very corrupted. Or simply nature lovers who got just tired of the artificial life and decided to live in the forest or in the mountains away from society. Amongst them, there are also a type of people who have spark of certain deities residing within them. I spoke more on this subject in a video I published very recently. It is called Is God a Tulpa? So the chief conductor of the army of devils, also called malevolent aliens by some people, so that principal conductor, he knows very well the universal law. And because of this fourth group of people, even though they could be very few, I don't know, it could be just even a few thousand on the earth of them, because of them, I think the forces of evil will never really put everybody who is not marked in jail, for example. Because this principal conductor does not want to deal with the protectors of this fourth group of souls, no matter how little they are, because that can be dreadful. In the Vedic holy books, there are descriptions from the history of the universe where when at the times when at other corners of the universe evil just grew beyond proportion, and the devils started just raping the populations of entire planets. Because the principle of love and goodness is the prevailing force in the universe, when things go out of control, the universal police appears. And these are the Bhairav forms and avatars of Devi, of Shiva. They are Shiva Tattva, Devi Tattva. They are not evil entities, although the depictions you may see are very scary. They are that same divine goddess of goodness, or Lord of goodness, if it is a form of Shiva. And these Bhairav forms, they're always angry in the depictions. You will see them, none of them is of a friendly disposition. And they're depicted like that because they're never in good mood. They permanently stay angry at the evil people. And if our earthly devils in the coming years try to directly jail or do something by force to the bodies of the people in whom sparks of Shakti or Shiva reside, that will be a big mistake, and the principal conductor knows it because in previous times his servants, his armies got minced by these Ugra Bhairav forms. This is, for example, Chinnamasta, one out of the many. Kali, everybody has heard of Kali. Pratyangira, also an ancient goddess with the head of a lioness. Varahi, she's got also human body and the head of a wild boar. So the principal conductor will not want to make the wrong god or goddess angry. That's why he will allow for that very small minority to escape and stay alive as long they are silent. Why would he care for a very, very small percentage when he has the world? Exactly like before, we had violent criminals, but they were hiding. We had police, so they were not like a major thing in the society. They were like some sort of exception. Now, when this sad theater starts, the normal people will be that small minority hiding, and the police will be after them. And many people are still confused. If I tell them these things, they think this is some sort of conspiracy or some sort of religious preaching. And this is really misunderstanding. I don't know how to talk to these people because this is from the news already. Governments have published this information. The checkpoints are a fact already in a number of countries. You know, the roads are blocked at places, and only people with government or whatever, government permit for some reason. They need a special reason to pass, otherwise they cannot. Also, governments and international health organizations have published this plan for fighting with dangerous viruses, that anybody who does not have a permit just stays at home. Otherwise, it's dangerous, you may infect the people. This is the explanation, but the plan is already published officially. But people are confused because few years ago, only those who were called conspiracy theorists were talking about this situation, and now people are confused that forever this is a conspiracy, even when they see it in the government briefing announcement. I hope everybody has understood already the plan of the government to track people. If somebody has not heard, I will repeat again. Everybody will be tracked by their phone or another device, which we are gonna cover shortly. So every step he does will be recorded, the places, and also as he is in proximity enough to meet other people, that will be recorded automatically by the two phones. Um, and only the government will know who it is exactly, to keep the privacy of the people, of course, they're telling us. And when somebody is sick of something, then everybody who has been in his proximity, when he was tracked, all these people can be isolated, quarantined, even taken away without explanation. And they're telling us, don't you worry, it will be kept private. Nobody will know whom exactly you met and why exactly you are quarantined or taken away or disappeared. To like keep your privacy, and the privacy of other people, so nobody will know who is sick. So don't you worry about that. And of course, this surveillance network, which, sorry to repeat again, but this is from the government announcement. The surveillance network which they have announced can be also, of course, used for tracking criminals, of course, that is already there. And I just remind you about the new laws that everybody who talks against lockdowns, which are essentially arresting people illegally um, by their governments without any sound reason, and everybody who dares to talk or indicate that this is not okay, he's also already automatically a criminal in many countries. Soon it will be maybe in all. And yeah, this system can be used to do anything with him, and nobody will even ask why did he disappear. And talking about tracking devices, here is a new patent just a month old by Bill Gates, the well-wisher of humanity. Just see the number of the patent. In the description you will find link to the official page. This is not a rumor, this is actually a registered thing. So there will be a device which will be wearable. That's one of the possibilities. It could be also done directly from the computer, or something that would be worn somehow on or in the body of the person. And there will be a sensor which, with its ability to register all kinds of waves and fluctuations in the body, will monitor all its activities, including thoughts. Interestingly enough, the device is designed specifically for trading, at least for now. I mean, tracking of the traders. And then in our well-known book, the Bible, which is not that recent, it is recent but not that recent, what we read, whoever has the mark 666 on their right hand or their forehead, they will be able to buy or sell. Well, all this really makes me wonder. So, since difficult times might be ahead, what can we do now? Well, first of all, no matter how bad the overall scenario will be, still everything will be regional, and that's why at the moment when they're building the devilish infrastructure, the new laws, and the new spying system, we should be as active as possible to prevent that happening or reduce its scale. At the moment, it is not really bad, at least for those who are in the countryside, those who are locked in apartments in the cities. that could be heavy on the consciousness. But at this moment, the most important is to understand the more power we agree to give to the government to control the people, the tighter will be harassment when the difficult times come in that particular region. All these preparations that they are making, of course, have nothing to do with the coronavirus or any virus. It is their evil scheme for total enslavement. I myself am preparing by acquiring various magical objects as well. Quartz, clear quartz crystals may end up being the best friends for those who will decide to stay on the angelic side through this ordeal. But please do not rush to buy crystals immediately. Wait for the video, which will come hopefully the next month, because it has to be done the right way. And most likely you will have time to prepare with crystals and otherwise, because usually when they tighten the leash, as they are doing now, after that, as a reward for the good sheep, they give a little bit of free time. So they may give us a bit of free time after the corona nonsense. I don't think they will introduce the mark like in few months. They will get sure everything is waterproof. Now they found probably some leaks in their devilish plan. For example, the Brazilian president openly told the world that all this is a plot and it's nonsense. A few countries didn't take any measures. Oh, what an insult in the face of the parasites. I think they're working on this type of refinement, and also it will be very important for them to make all resistance illegal. You know, they even now in Bulgaria they are dispersing more than 2 people with drones. There are checkpoints everywhere. Total hell. So first they will get sure that this type of tight control and infrastructure is everywhere, and anybody who tells the truth doesn't have chance to get out of home or talk to anybody, you know. And after that they will start with the big thing. The big thing for them will be the marking. For the people, that will be also the key moment, although not all of them will even understand that initially. But when that starts, you don't need to panic. And it will be very important for everybody to understand at every moment that this will be a personal test, because too many people are lost in these thoughts of saving the world. If God wanted the world to be saved, He wouldn't create this problem. All this it's a test from God, and everybody will take it individually. Many people think so much about so-called resistance that they forget to do their own small work of keeping their own soul on the right side, which is the best they can do and is the only basis on which some people may do more than that even. There will be a resistance as well, at least I believe so, based on the prophecies. I have never had personally visions about such things. But this resistance will be organized on angelic astral level and not some worldly organization. Most likely, if somebody is preaching to you something like that, they are wasting your time, and at the end they want to drive you to the dark side. The true resistance, according to the prophecies and according to practically I see, will be really organized by angels in the most direct sense, because people in general nowadays are just too unreliable to be able to organize themselves, anything of that sort. And to be part of that, again, it boils to what I've been recommending since the beginning of this channel: meditation, genuine spiritual practices. If one cannot perceive things like the eternal validity of one's own self, one's own soul, then this experience may end up being very difficult for him. He may give in and take this devilish mark, because everybody around will be taking it on the media, which will be the only source of disinformation at that time. Everybody else maybe will be silenced. They will repeat only that, they will glorify it, and at the end the person may start thinking, do I really believe in all these religious prophecies and things? Shouldn't I be practical? If I don't take this mark, I won't be able to live normally. Am I just believing in some sort of religious things which I cannot see? With such thoughts, at the end, one will get marked. So the absolute and most essential thing which one needs to end up on the right side is to have stable consciousness and direct perception of his eternal nature to start with, and second of all, the importance of the noble qualities. 4 years ago, I published these hermetic prophecies, and at that time, even my regular listeners who otherwise admire my content, they were criticizing me and protesting that I am creating negative vibes by posting doomsday prophecies. Actually, the doomsday will come not because of the warnings of the people who foresee the future, but because of the thought forms of the people who created it with their thoughts. The people who see all this doomsday scenario, this great purge of negativity, this great test as something negative in overall, although the ending is actually very good, the new golden age starts, deeply inside, even though they often do not admit it openly, they simply do not want to change, to become honorable enough to be fit for the golden age. And that's why they might be otherwise very spiritual people, but somehow they don't want to take the test. They don't want to try to enter the golden age. While those who have crystal clear hearts, or are at least working hard in this direction, there is still a little bit time left, they see only the positive, the new world which will be coming afterwards. So I'm warning you that many alternative sources are actually subtly grooming you, preparing you to be marked as well. For example, they will have lengthy videos explaining in detail the superior technologies of the dark side, thus tricking you into feeling helpless. If you want to watch alternative media which is really beneficial for your soul, not only informative, I recommend to you the Liberty Report of Dr. Ron Paul. It doesn't have stories of cruel aliens abducting you for torture, which is going on indeed. I don't deny that is the truth. And getting informed once or twice about that is actually good. But what many people do is they make it a point of their meditation, and that will devour them. While by listening to Ron Paul, not only you will get very timely and accurate information without any distortion of what is going on very practical level, but also you will benefit a lot from absorbing this noble and pure vibration of his spirit. He always focuses on the main point. He will keep you on the right track. And the main point is that you are coining your destiny. No matter how nasty implants the greys and the devils and the aliens bring to you, those who stick to this simple thing, the dignity and never bowing down before the criminals, the disgusting child rapists, such people will be protected by the higher powers in their daily lives through the most difficult moments. No other arrangements, stacking of food or all kinds of preparations will help. Although that should be done as well to a reasonable extent. But at the end, it will not be the preppers who survive this test. It will be the pure souls.
りゆしぶぶたいすかわたかやウェケケこんばりゆしぶぶたいすかわたかやウェケケすかわたかや